Lions Nation, something absolutely critical is unfolding in the NFC North right now, and the implications for our defense could be franchise-altering. I've been tracking player movement, analyzing divisional dynamic, and studying trade pattern, pointing toward a scenario most people haven't even considered yet. This isn't a draft. This isn't about free agency in the traditional sense. This is about a strategic opportunity that could solve our biggest defensive weakness while simultaneously weakening our division rival. Welcome to Lions News Fan Report, your trusted source for breaking updates, insider analysis, and the real conversations that matter about our Detroit Lions. Here you're getting the latest news, credible insights, and a true fan's perspective on every decision that shapes this team. Stay with me through this entire video because what I'm about to break down has the potential to transform our defense for the next decade. Let me set the table properly because understanding where we are as a franchise right now is absolutely essential. The 2025 season was supposed to be our year. Super Bowl as a roster loaded with talent, the best offensive line in football, and a defense that looked like it could finally hold its own. We fell short. We missed the playoffs entirely, and now we're sitting here with the 17th pick in the 2026 draft, wondering how we fixed what went wrong. The disappointment is real, and I'm not going to sugar. This was a missed opportunity, and missed opportunities in the NFL can haunt you for years. But here's where my perspective differs from some of the doom and gloom you're seeing out there. I'm looking at this moment as a chance to be strategic, to be aggressive, to make the kind of bold move that championship organizations make when they're serious about winning. Brad Holmes has shown repeatedly that he's not afraid to think outside the box. The Jameson Williams trade-up, the Aiden Hutchinson selection, the way he's built this roster from the ground up, these are the actions of a general manager who sees opportunities where others see obstacles. Our biggest issue last season was painfully obvious. When Aiden Hutchinson went down with that devastating leg injury, our pass rush completely evaporated. Hutch isn't just a good player. He's a generational talent who was on pace for potentially 20 sacks before the injury. Without him, opposing quarterbacks had all day to throw. Our secondary was already dealing with coverage issues, got exposed even more because there was zero pressure. You can have the best cornerbacks in the world, but if the quarterback has 5 seconds in pocket, someone's going to get open eventually. Now, the conventional wisdoms, we address this through the draft with that 17th pick. And look, certainly an option. History shows that quality edge rusher can be found. But here's my concern with that approach. We don't have time to develop a rookie. We're in our championship window right now. Jared Goff is playing at an MVP level. Our offensive weapons are in their prime. Our offensive line is elite. We need someone who can contribute immediately, not a project might be good. This is where things get really interesting, and this is where I need you to pay close attention because the pieces are all there for something big. The Minnesota Vikings are in a fascinating situation with one of their defensive players, someone who fits our needs perfectly but hasn't quite lived up to his draft pedigree in their system. Someone who was considered a steal when they traded up to get him, but whose development hasn't matched the investment they made. Someone who, if you really analyze the tape and the trajectory, might actually be better suited for our defensive scheme under Aaron Glenn. I'm talking about a player who was a top 10 talent that fell in the draft, a player with elite physical tools that make defensive coordinator drool, a player who just finished a season that showed significant improvement but still leaves questions about whether he's the right fit in Minnesota's system. The Vikings mortgaged draft capital to move up and select this player in 2024, and while year 2 showed promising growth, 8 sacks, 4 forced fumbles, there's this sense that he's still not quite what they hoped to be when they made that aggressive move. Dallas Turner, that's the name I'm putting on your radar right now, and here's why this could be the most important acquisition Lions make this offseason. Turner was the 17th overall pick in the 2024 draft, the exact same spot where we're picking this. The Vikings traded up 23 to get him because they saw a player who was projected to go in the top 10 sliding down. His rookie season was rough. There's no sugarcoating it. 3 sack, constant injury, questions about whether he could adapt to the NFL game. Vikings fans were openly questioning whether they'd made a terrible mistake trading up for him. But then something clicked in year 2. Turner's sack total jumped to 8. His tackles more than tripled. His tackles for loss skyrocketed. And he forced 4 fumbles, including one against us on Christmas that frankly hurt to watch. The physical tools that made him a first-round pick started showing up consistently. The burst off the edge, the hand use, the relentless motor all came together in a way that suggests he's just scratching the surface of his potential. So here's the question we need to ask ourselves. Why would the Vikings even consider moving if he just had a season? And this is where you have to understand the complex dynamic of roster structure and team philosophy. Minnesota is entering a transitional period. They've got salary cap decisions to make. They've got questions about their long-term direction, and they've got a new regime that might not be as attached to the previous administration pick. Turner is entering year 3, which means his 5th-year option decision is coming up soon. That's expensive for an edge rusher who, despite improvement, still has become the game wreck they envision. From the Vikings' perspective, they could recoup significant draft capital by trading Turner now. Before they have to make that 5th-year option decision, it might make sense for their rebuilding timeline. They could use those picks to address other positions of need or to move up in this year's draft for a player they covet. And here's the kicker. Trading him within the division would typically be off the table. But if the price is right, if we're willing to overpay slightly because we're desperate for pass rush help, they might actually consider it. From our perspective, acquiring Turner makes perfect sense on multiple. First, he's only going into year 3, which means we're getting him right as he's entering his prime years. Edge rushers typically hit their peak between years 3 and 7, so we'd be buying low on a player who's trending upward. Second, his skill set complements Aiden Hutchinson perfect. Hutch is a technically sound, high-motor player who wins with precision. Turner is an explosive athlete who wins with burst and power. Having both of them coming off the edges would give us one of the most dynamic pass-rushing duos in the NFL. Third, and this is crucial, Turner knows our division intimately. He's played against us twice a year. He understands the offensive schemes we face regularly, and there wouldn't be any adjustment period to NFC North football. He forced a fumble against us just months ago, which shows he can make impact plays in critical moments. Imagine that production in Honolulu Blue instead of... Let's talk about what a trade package might look, because this is where it gets tricky. The Vikings aren't going to just give him away. They invested significant capital to move up and draft him, and despite the rocky start, he's shown enough in year 2 that they'd want fair compensation. I'm thinking we'd need this plus potential future rounder or a current third. Consider what we're getting. 24-year-old edge who just recorded 8 and is still developing versus rolling the dice on a draft pick who might not work out. The draft history at pick 17 is mixed bag. Looking at recent years, you've got hits and massive misses. Alex Leatherwood went 17 in 2021 and was out of the league after one season. Zion Johnson has been solid but not spectacular. Christian Gonzalez is excellent. We passed on him anyway. The point is, there's no guarantee that whoever we draft at 17 becomes a contributor, let alone a star. With Turner, we know what we're getting. Talented player who figured things out and is ready to take the next step. And here's something else to consider. Aaron Glenn's defensive scheme might be exactly what Turner needs to fully unlock his potential. Glenn has a track record of maximizing edge rush, putting them in positions to succeed, of using creative blitz packages that create one-on-one opportunity. Turner hasn't had that in Minnesota. Their defensive system is more conservative, more read and react. Glenn's aggressive approach could be the perfect environment for Turner to become a 10-plus sack guy annually. The contract situation also works in our favor timeline-wise. We'd be acquiring Turner before having to make any major financial commitment. We'd have him on his rookie deal for 2 more years, which gives us time to evaluate whether he's worth a long-term extension. If he balls out in our system, like I think he will, we lock him up. If not, we got 2 years of production at a reasonable cost and we move on. That's manageable risk or potentially elite reward. I know some of you are thinking, why would we trade for a Vikings player when we could just beat them and take their draft position? I get that sentiment, I really do. The rivalry is real, and trading with Minnesota feels wrong on an emotional level. But championship organizations make smart moves regardless of emotion. If Turner is the player who puts us over the top, if he's the missing piece that turns our defense from good to great, then who cares what uniform he wore before? Once he puts on Honolulu Blue, one of us. The timing of this potential move is also perfect from a competitive standpoint. Hutchinson is expected back next season, which means we'd be pairing a healthy Hutch with a developing Turner, giving us potentially the best edge rushing duo in the NFC. That combination would terrify opposing offensive coordinators. You can't double team both of them. You can't slide protection to both sides. Someone's going to win their match, and quarterbacks are going to be uncomfortable all game. game long. That's how you win January and February. Lions Nation, Dallas Turner to Detroit, too much sense to ignore. Fit is perfect, timing is right, the need is desperate, and the opportunity exists. Brad Holmes is willing to. I genuinely believe this could be one of those franchise-defining moves we look back on in 5 years as the moment everything changed. Turner opposite Hutchinson, terrorizing quarterback, bringing energy and production to our defense, helping us finally get over the hump and compete for champion. Now, I need to hear, would you be willing to trade our first-round pick plus additional assets to acquire Dallas Turner from the Vikings? Does the idea of trading within the division bother you, or do you care more about winning regardless of where the player comes from? Do you trust that Turner's year 2 improvement is real, or do you think we should stick with the draft? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, because I want to know where Lions fans stand on. If you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to Lions News Fan Report and hit that notification. We're covering every angle, every potential, every rumor that this is going to months, and you need to be here. Let's go. Lions!